penetrating countries, canvassing for more destruction. Grace turned this around. When grace shows up, the powers of darkness will bow. When grace shows up, the limits of man is seen. The intelligence of man is gone. The power of man is gone. Even Satan. Grace come to give us freedom. Freedom. Freedom from what we've been through. Freedom from what we have been suffering. Freedom to raise our hope again. Because a lot of us, come on, the hope is all gone. Prophecies upon prophecies. One agent of darkness who from one way record something and send it out. The false alarm we receive is bigger than the truth in the whole issue. Because my gift escalating it. They hired the people that are hired doing the propaganda so much, so that the will of Satan will prevail. But I'm here this morning to tell somebody. Here this morning to tell somebody that grace is available. That grace will show up this morning. That grace will do what no man can do. It will look like a joke. Hear me. It will look like a joke. Last night, I saw heavy stone laying upon somebody. And I was asking, God, what is it? As I did praying, I went back again. And the Lord said, the body will be lifted upon people in the name of Jesus. The suppression. People are suppressed. People are carrying burdens. People are carrying what is heavier than them. How can this be done? When you carry what is bigger than you, except grace walks into your life. That body will kill that person. I reject it for you in the name of Jesus. Amen. The grace personified is coming. Amen. The grace himself is coming. Amen. The one that lifted the body on the cross of Calvary is coming. Amen. Regardless of the government, regardless, the government, the world is following. Now I'm saying convinced that God is the owner of the universe. Yes. He told us he allows the rain to fall to both the just and unjust. And so It's not about whatever government that is ruling any nation. It's not about. It's about God. It's about Jesus dying on the cross for all mankind. That's what we are talking about. And so he's coming to give us a relief in the name of Jesus. Amen. Somebody help me. Go to the book of Titus. The book of Titus. Chapter 2. Write it down if you can, open it and listen to me while I read so that we move fast. Titus chapter 2 verse 11. Hear the word. For the grace of God that brings salvation has appeared to all men. All men. The grace. The grace. He said, for the grace of God that brings salvation has appeared to all men. Both to just and unjust. Both to the hidden, the atheists, the Muslims, the Hindus, different religion. He said the grace has appeared, the grace of God that brings salvation has appeared to all men. The power of grace, the grace specified that Jesus already settled it on the cross. We are standing on the grace specified. We are standing on the one that brought grace, that gave us chance to decree this morning. That body will be lifted. Body will be lifted. Afflictions will be lifted. Amen. In the name of Jesus. Amen. That doors that have been shut against people, the doors that was shut in by Satan trying to make God a liar concerning his prophecy over this year. You want to make God a liar? But here is the word. That in the midst of calamities, his people are still triumphant. Somebody shout hallelujah. Hallelujah. It doesn't matter where you're locked down. Hear me. The people that were locked down in different countries are still making waves. Come on, somebody. That even you that was asked to sit at home, you're still walking and you're being paid. Somebody shout hallelujah. 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 Yes, hallelujah. Yes, Lord. That's the Son of God. I know my sheep, and my sheep they know me. He has told you the steps of the righteous are look at that scripture again. He said, for the grace of God that brings salvation has appeared to all men. Believe in that grace. The second chance is now. For those that have not believed in that grace. But I'm talking to somebody this morning. The grace, whether you believe it or not, that is why I keep saying, it doesn't matter the government of any nation. God allowed us from your government. After all, the people of Israel rejected his government. He didn't kill them. But life is still going on. Does it change him from being a sovereign God? It doesn't. Does it stop him from being in power? It does not. And that is why we are saying, no power can stop this grace. The grace of this season. The grace of what God is about to do. The miracle God is about. The burden God is about to lift it. Be you Jews, be you Gentiles, be you anything, wherever you are, the grace of God cannot be stopped. Amen. He's going to visit us very soon. Did you see what he did to show you freedom? The grace comes, I said it, when you are weak, when you cannot act again. Grace to do the impossible. You look at the book of Esther. You write it down. The book of Esther. Thank you, Jesus. Yes, yes. A time like this. Why? This is the very time. Queen Esther is about to be used to deliver the people of Israel. The Jewish people. Where they were stopped. Esther chapter 4, verse 14. Thank you, Jesus. Let's quickly go to Esther chapter 4. The word of God said Mordecai was admonishing Esther to take up the assignment God has given to her. He said to Esther, you have to, this is your call at this time. This is your call at this time to deliver the people of Israel. If you don't do it, God can use somebody else. Time is of essence. Time is of essence when it comes to the work of God. The word of God said in verse 14. Here is Mordecai saying, for if you remain completely silent at this time, if you don't speak, if God has made you a queen, if God has appointed you to a time like this, if you don't act, if you remain completely silent at this time, relief and deliverance will arise for the you don't do it, you and your father's house will perish. Yet, who knows whether you have come to the kingdom for such a time like this? There is a time for everything. There is a time you go through problems. You go through that tunnel. You go through that wilderness. You go through attacks. But God is trying to get you to the next level. At that particular time, everything you have exhausted. You complain. You complain. You complain until a point you can't complain again. The grace shows up. The Lord was speaking to Esther. Look at where the Jews are. Look at what they are going through in the land of Persia. God has blessed you like this. The grace is coming. And that grace is for you to speak so that the people will be liberated. We speak in the name of Jesus with one voice of all the men and women of God. That the whole world will be liberated from this pandemic in the name of Jesus. Amen. This is the time. That's why the Bible said, for every time there is a season. This is a month of grace. We have gone through a lot of things. I just opened my WhatsApp. Not my WhatsApp. Yes, a message somebody sent to me. WhatsApp message. It was showing. People were shouting, at last, we are liberated, we are free. They were running away, and this thing happened in Dubai. Countries are beginning to lift up. They lift their restrictions. America is doing it gradual by gradual. They are lifting up all the bans, everything has been done. Time for grace. When grace comes, it settles every case. This morning, we decree, just like Esther was appointed at that particular time. May your voice and my voice and the voice of men of God in this world be heard for liberation in the name of Jesus. Amen. May grace, the one that carried the grace himself, lift up the burden from the shoulders of men, of presidents, in the name of Jesus. Amen. Give us a way. Grace. It shows up when there is freedom, when you need freedom. These people in their land, they needed freedom. They can continue to be slaves. They can continue to be maltreated. It happens as well in the land of Egypt. Moses appeared. We know that Moses is a type of Jesus because everything that happened in account of Moses is exactly what happened with Jesus. So when the one that carried the grace comes, he sets everybody free. So we are receiving our freedom this month in the name of Jesus. Amen. When that grace comes, protocols are broken.
Amen.
Do you know when grace comes, protocols are broken? Grace bypass presidents. Grace bypass governors. Grace bypass ideas, the technology of man. Those things you use to manipulate man. When grace comes, protocols are broken. Favor arrive in the name of Jesus. First Samuel chapter 16, verse 6 to 11. First Samuel chapter 16. Protocols shall be broken for your sake. I don't care what the government is saying. I don't care what the ruling authority is saying. We don't care who is the first, who is the last. When grace comes, he picks the qualified. But the qualified is the one that has been underrated. Look at what grace did. First Samuel chapter 16. The word of God says from verse 6. He says, so it was when they came that he looked at Eli and said, surely the Lord's anointed is before him. We're talking about Samuel. Has to go to pick up a king from the house of Jesse. Saul has been rejected as a king. They need another king. Samuel got to the house of Jesse. He was bringing all his children out. That one of them will be anointed, if not the first. Every one of them was lined up. Boy, hear me. Not as a man thinketh, not as a man sees. He said, Jesse brought all his sons, lined them up. But the Lord said here, those are not the ones I wanted. Samuel asked Jesse again, are these all your children? He said, no, there is one. There is one. That one is in the bush, taking care of the sheep. How could it be David, the least in the house? How could it be you? How could there be help from the last? That is God for you. Grace. Grace picks the unqualified. Grace breaks protocols under normal circumstances. The first son, Eliab, was supposed to be the king. Someone else said, go and fetch that. Listen to me. Someone made a decree and a declaration. We will all be standing until this one comes. And then we are all standing, waiting for the one in the bush, taking care of the sheep of the father. When David arrived, the word of God said to someone, dust him, anointing the King of Israel. Grace can fish you out wherever you are. Grace it does not know levels. Grace can pick the first. Grace can pick the second. Grace can pick the last. God is telling us, you see this period? Grace will use somebody to change this nation in the name of Jesus.
Amen.
Yeah. Africa is a guinea pig. Somebody said Africa is a guinea pig. When they want to test something, they go to the black country, the black continent. They sell chloroquine, which is the commonest drug in Africa. He said it can cure the virus. They say, wait, who told you? Because it's coming from the third world country. It's not valid. It's not going to be recognized. It doesn't work. They kill it. People are using it and it's working. Oh, there are herbs that have been found. This can help to this virus. People are using it. They pluck the leaves, the purple leaves, and everything. They put it together. They inhale it. It went go to the lungs and destroy the virus. No! Because it's from Africa. But hear me. The Lord will deliver. The grace will come where the least expect it in the name of Jesus.
Amen.
They once neglected. They once pushed aside. The ones that are weak. Solution is going to come unexpectedly in the name of Jesus.
Amen.
It could be you. Trust God and His grace. The one that carried the grace knows how to do it. The grace Himself knows what to do. He knows where to release the grace. He knows what to do. For those of you that lost your job, those of you looking for food, those looking for help one way or the other, this morning, grace will find you. Grace will make a way for you in the name of Jesus.
Amen.
Grace brings restoration. Grace brings restoration. The word of God told us in the book of Joel. Joel chapter 2 verse 25. The book of Joel. Joel 2 verse 25. Restoration. The Lord is about to restore the world again. But on a higher platform and dimension. The word of God told us in the book of Joel 2:25. Said, I'm going to restore the years, the locust, the cankerworms, the caterpillars, the years I have destroyed. Grace The countries are spending millions making researches concerning this virus. So much expectation about the economy of the world. People are saying the world is not going to be the same again. The economy of any country will take years because of what is going. Nobody needs to shut down. That is the downfall of many great nations, many great countries. But that is their own thinking. That is their own assumption. But for you and I, we stand on the word of God. The word of God says, I, God, will restore all the years, the cankerworms and caterpillars, the locusts, whatever they destroy, I will restore. The earth belongs to him. The power belongs to him. He knows what he can do. Grace is enabled. Grace breaks protocols. Grace can come anywhere. So nobody's man who says no when God says yes. This morning, I don't know what you're going through. Some of you have lost somebody. You love loved ones. You love jobs. So much is going on. But the grace, the one called grace, the one that gave us grace, he said, I should tell you, I will restore. I am going to restore the years, those things you have lost. I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to set joy upon your life in the name of Jesus. It's not about you knowing how he's going to do it. It's for you to believe that he can do it. It's for you to know the power of grace is showing up this year, showing up this month. And it's going to take you to the next level. It's going to take away you listen. Some of you feel you're down. What can I do? But I'm telling you, things will turn around to the glory of God. The grace this month, the 5th month, the grace of this month will answer the questions in the name of Jesus. Grace will bring healing. See this month? Grace is going to be healing. There will be a lot of healing this month in the name of Jesus. Amen. Healing is going to come. The plasma that we are talking about, from those who have suffered the virus and survived. They are using it now. They are making researches and it's working. They are using it on the people that has it. People are very generous. When they survive, they take their plasma and then they use the plasma. They will transfuse it. So the ones that are suffering it helps them to build the antibody. I'm talking to somebody. That help will come where you least expect it in the name of Jesus. Amen. Is it not somebody that said, use my plasma? It helps to build the antibodies that the person suffering from COVID-19 is looking for. Grace. The Lord will touch divine helpers. The Lord will touch destiny helpers. The Lord will touch the hearts of people. And then we come to our end this month in the name of Jesus. The help is coming. It's on the way. Healing. If you go to John chapter 5. The book of John chapter 5. Somebody was healed out of grace. Somebody was healed just for grace. The lame man at the pull up, they tested. Grace was the one that healed him, the one that came with grace, the one that died on the cross. Jesus showed up in his case. This lame man was met at that gate. John chapter 5. Verse 5. The word of God says that. Now a certain man was there who had infirmity for 38 years. When Jesus saw him lying there, he knew that he already had been in that condition a long time. He said to him, do you want to be made whole? Simple question. God is asking somebody this morning. God is talking to somebody with infirmity, to somebody with COVID-19, to somebody that is paralyzed, to somebody that needs a touch of God. I am here with the grace. Jesus is saying, I am here with the healing power. The amount of grace I am available, says the Lord Jesus. I'm about to give it to whoever that needs it. He asked the lame man, do you want to be healed? I don't want talking. I don't need explanation. All I need, yes or no. Now I'm talking to somebody. Those watching, those that have been affected, those their relations have been affected, those that are sick, those with one problem or the other. Jesus is asking a question this morning. Do you want to be healed? Do you want to be made whole? Do you believe that the grace can make you whole? Do you believe that this month you'll be set free? He asked this man. Here is the man. The man started talking. He left the question and was talking something else. The sick man answered him, sir, I have no man to put me in the pool when the water is stirred up. But while I am coming, another person, look at that. Yeah. It's not a question. The question is, do you want to be made whole? We destroy the grace and the gift of God when it's coming to us. Yes or no? Do you want to be made whole? And somebody is telling a story. Jesus knew you've been in that condition for 38 years. That was why he came. Jesus knew we've been in this situation. He has come to deliver. Hallelujah, Lord. He knows the pandemic has weight. Oh yes. He has eaten up the earth. He has gone places. He has touched hearts. People are crying. He has come with that grace, that power to deliver, and he's asking us, do you believe I can do it? Do you want to be healed? Whatever that is worrying you this season, do you believe he can do it? That's what he's asking. He's not telling you to tell stories. He already knows the stories. Oh, here is it. While the man was talking, giving all his excuses why he was there, Jesus told him, he said, rise, take up your bed and walk, go home. is no option for anybody. There is no room for explanation. There is no room for argument. Jesus has come with grace. I am not interested what started the COVID-19. I don't care where it's being manufactured. I don't care what you're going through at this time. My own is that my grace is going to be sufficient. Rise up wherever you are. Go home. Grace. May that grace locate you. May that grace heal you. May that grace travel to the hospitals. May that grace travel to homes. May that grace travel on the streets, airports, wherever it is. Let that grace liberate people. Set them free. In the name of Jesus. The grace can deliver. Somebody go to the book of Acts of the Apostle, chapter 16. Grace can deliver. Deliverance is seen in the grace. Acts of the Apostle, chapter 16, verse 25 to 29. Paul and Silas were in prison. Paul and Silas were in prison. Why they were in prison? They were praying. They were praising the Lord. Now something happened. He said there was an earthquake. The power of God came down. The time of grace came down. It shook everything. The chains in their hands. And they all got up where they were in prison. And he liberated them. He said, oh, come on, go. He opened up the gate for them. He comforted the soldiers. Don't kill yourself. Here we are. Deliverance. Grace is visiting homes. Grace is visiting people. Grace is bringing deliverance. Wherever you're bound, wherever you're tied down, may the power of grace deliver you in the name of Jesus. Amen. Is it not the same grace? Jesus, he told, lose that cord. Let it go. Lose the cord. The cord was tied down. The donkey was tied down for a very long time. People passed by, mocked the donkey. The donkey is supposed to be useful. The donkey was supposed to be used to carry goods. But it was tied at a particular spot. Bondage. The full capacity of the donkey was not used. But when the time came, hear me, somebody that is tied down. Hear me, somebody God wants to make use of. Hear me, somebody is supposed to be a vessel. Enemy has tied you down. This morning, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. They made you a donkey. They made you a dog. They incapacitated you. But I'm talking to you this morning. The power of grace is coming. The Lord is visiting. The donkey was released. And the donkey was made the greatest use. Do you know what it means for donkey, for Jesus to ride upon the donkey? The best of all years. The history is there today. Jesus rode on a donkey that was incapacitated for years, that was kept in bondage, that was kept at a spot. I'm talking to you this morning. Wherever they kept you, whatever they placed upon you, that stone that was placed upon you, that heaviness that was placed upon you, that garment wherever you are, any part of the world, let grace locate you this morning and set you free in the name of Jesus. Become a voice. Become a voice. Actualize your calling. Actualize your calling. That which God has spoken concerning you, it must come to pass in the name of Jesus.
Yes, Lord.
Lastly, somebody go to the book of Psalms. Psalm 126. Thank you, Jesus. Psalm 126. I told you, it's going to be like a dream. See this month, things are going to happen. It will be like a dream. The Bible told us in that Psalm 126. The Lord said, when the Lord brought back the captivity of Zion, they were like those dreaming. When the Lord brought back the captivity of Zion, he said they were like those dreaming. Then our mouth was filled with laughter, and our tongue was singing. It's going to happen. It's going to be a dream. Help is going to come where we least expect it. And Psalm 121 said, I will look up to the hills from whence the help comes. Said the helps come from the Lord who made heaven and earth. Grace is coming. Words have been made. It will be like a dream. It will be like a shock. The people of Israel in Babylon, they were crying. They said, how can we sing the Lord's song in a strange land? Some of you are in strange land. Some of you are locked down. Places where you can't do anything. How can you praise God? Yes, you can do it. But I'm talking to somebody this morning. Help is coming. Grace is about to liberate somebody. Grace is about to deliver somebody. Grace is about to put a song, a laughter, a joy in somebody's mouth. Somebody's going to sing a song of rejoicing. Amen. Somebody shout hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Stephanie, please sing that song for me. How can we put our knees on the ground and be ashamed? Thank you, Jesus. We bless you, mighty Father.
Lord, we love you, Jesus.
Yes, we love you, Jesus.
I cannot call on your name.
I cannot call on your name
And end up in shame.
and end up in shame.
No way.
No way, no way. I can call your name, I can't.
No way.
I'll end up in shame, Lord. No way. Thank you, Jesus.
Cannot get on my knees.
I can't get on my knees, oh Lord. We can't get on our knees, oh Lord.
In shame.
And end up in shame.
No way.
No way. It can't happen.
No way.
Yes, Lord. Why I help her out. Thank you, Jesus.
I cannot call on your
I can't call on your name.
and end up in
shame.
see no
No way. It's not going to happen. Thank you, Jesus.
no way.
No way. Thank you, Jesus. Yes.
Can I get on my knees
I can't get on my knees.
and end up in
Shame.
no
We can't. It's not possible. It's not possible. No way. Thank you, Jesus.
You are
You are our God.
my God.
is done. It is done. It is done. In Jesus' precious name, we have prayed. Our Holy Communion fast. Our Holy Communion fast. This is the month, the first Sunday of the month. We take Holy Communion. Now, those of you at home, I've told you, if you get a bottle of Holy Communion or a bottle of grape juice, that is fine. You can take your waffle. You can take your waffle. That could be the bread. The grape juice is fine. Whatever you can lay your hands on, it's okay. So it's gonna solve the problem. The reason why I want you to have the Holy Communion, the bottle of the grape juice, the bottle of grape juice, so that you can be taking it from time to time. Thank you, Jesus. Praise the Lord. So when you keep it in your house, every morning you take it. That's why I said, buy a bottle. I'm going to bless it. You will lift it up and I will bless it.
We've just done communion now.
The Holy Communion is a banquet we take with Jesus, knowing that Jesus is being signified here, the body and the blood. What he did for us over 2,000 years ago. We believe so much in the blood. We believe he died for us. And we say whenever we take it, there is a remission of sins. Sins is what causes diseases, causes plagues, causes everything. And so this morning, as we are about to take it, we are believing that we are going to be healed. Our souls, our spirit, our body will be healed. From the crown of our head to the sole of our feet. Whoever that is experiencing any form of disease, that person will be healed this morning in the name of Jesus. So he took the bread the night he was betrayed. He broke the bread. He gave it to the disciples. He said, take it and eat it. Do it to remember me. Do it because of what I did on the cross of Calvary. It's gonna restore. It's gonna cleanse. It comes in contact with COVID-19. COVID-19 will bow in the name of Jesus. I bless this bread this morning. I consecrate it again in the name of God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. Let us eat it. After they ate the bread, he took the cup. He blessed the cup. He told his disciples, this is my blood, the new covenant. You and I are enacted in this covenant through the blood. And This morning, the blood will flush. The blood will destroy. The blood will make us whole. In the name of Jesus. Somebody drink it. Father, we thank you this morning. We bless you for the wonderful opportunity to come before your presence this month. This is our new month, the month of grace. The month your intervention is needed. The month you have come to set us free. The month you have come to liberate us. We bless you this morning. Father, we step aside for you to have your way this month. We step aside because our strength has failed us. We want you to come and take over. Let your grace be sufficient for your people, Lord. Let it be sufficient for those in the hospital, those at home, those in authority, those in high places. Take over the world that you have made by yourself. Take over the world that you have died for. Step into our boat this morning. Turn things around, oh Lord. We are stepping aside for you to take control. Let your grace be sufficient for us. Bring us back, oh Lord, the state of mercy. Bring us back again to that state of mercy. The reason why you died, the grace that you have used to save mankind. Deliver us, oh Lord. Turn this around, oh Lord. We are returning the glory to you. We bless you this morning. We give you praise for what you have done. Receive our cry this morning, for in Jesus' precious and mighty name we have prayed. Somebody shout, hallelujah. Hallelujah. Yes, sir.
Praise the Lord. God is good and all the time.
Because I need to move these.
Our God is an awesome God. We want to welcome everyone here in the house of God to Light Place International Ministries. Hallelujah. Our God is an awesome God. He's a faithful God. Amen. For those who are tuning in live with us for the first time, for those who are part of the LPIM family, we welcome you again to Light Place International Ministries. And we know that God has been so awesome and so faithful to us regardless of everything that we've been through. Amen. Hallelujah. It's our new month, the Lord. Hallelujah. Woo! Our God is an awesome God. This is our new month, and it's called Grace for Freedom. Amen. And if you know that God is going to do something in your life where you will experience grace for freedom, I need you to drop it in the comment box and say, there is grace for freedom for me and my family this month in Jesus' name. Our God is an awesome God. Our weekly activities are as followed. On Wednesday, we have Word Wednesday. Can someone say Word Wednesday? Word Wednesday. I miss you guys, man. I miss that interaction. Hallelujah. But on Wednesdays, we have Word Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Amen. That's when we come together and we dig deep into the Word of God to understand exactly what is God saying to His church. Amen. And to dig deeper, Lord. To dig deeper. Amen. You can join us via Zoom at 880-252-308. Again, it's 880-252-308. And that is at 7 p.m. on Wednesdays. And then on Fridays, we have our breakthrough prayer, amen, from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. on our prayer line. Hallelujah. nothing stops us from being able to engage in what God has for us and praying those prayers that are coming from heaven. Amen. And then our prayer line still continues Tuesday through Thursday from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. And again, still going in and praying and seeking the face of God from 9 to 10. The prayer line number is 319-527-2215. And then if you're having issues getting into the prayer line, you can use the backup number, which is 206-451-6051. Amen. Amen. Our God is a faithful God. Hallelujah. Can someone say, Woman of the Light?
Women of the light.
Amen. Our Woman of the Light is an extension of Light Place International Ministries. Amen. And they present to you virtual tea time with Jesus. Amen. If you were there this Saturday and you're live, go ahead and comment in the box and shout hallelujah. For those who read, say hallelujah. Amen. It was such an awesome time. The woman of God really just broke it down on what a woman is meant to do in prayer and who he has called us to be, being the Hannah, being the Abigail, being the Anna, whomsoever God has called us to be, but being that woman in prayer. Amen. And it was such an awesome time. So again, we'll be meeting every Saturday for now at 5 p.m. via Zoom. Amen. To come together in fellowship. Amen. And then the link and everything will be dropped in the women's group chat. Amen. And then if you're a youth in the house or a youth online, shout hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Royal Rulers Youth and Young Adults Weekly Bible Study is at 7 p.m. on Monday. So we'll be meeting together tomorrow on Monday. If you are a youth or a young adult, I highly encourage you to join in. We're learning right now in a series on enough. Is God more than enough for you in this season, out of every season? Amen. So finding contentment in Christ. And it's been such an awesome time. So if you're a youth, I highly encourage you, if you're already tuning in, to come tomorrow with a friend. Amen. Because it's open to all individuals. Amen. Our God is an awesome God. Some announcements that we have and some meetings updates that are coming up. There's a church conference that is coming up. It's in the works. Amen. Hallelujah. There is nothing that can stop us. So we couldn't have the apostolic visitation last month. But trust and believe the church is coming together with something powerful, something awesome. You don't want to miss it. Amen. There'll be worship. There'll be praise. There'll be prophecy and more. Details are coming soon. So I highly encourage you to get your hearts and your minds prepared for such an awesome time as God is moving mightily. Amen. Leadership training is coming soon, so stay tuned. For those who are leaders, those who are rising leaders, there will be a training coming soon as well. The Queen Esther trip, as of now, is still being, we're still going. If there's anything that changes, we will definitely let you know. And if you haven't made your payments, go ahead and make that payment. Amen. Our God is a faithful God. Today, there will be no membership class. Membership class is canceled because after service at 1 p.m., there will be a church meeting. Amen. So please, amen. No membership class. There will be a general church meeting. The link has already been dropped inside of the members group chat for your awareness. Amen. And then lastly, if you have any testimony, that's something that God is honestly doing for you, despite the fact that we're not able to come together physically, it doesn't mean that God isn't moving. It doesn't mean that God is not doing anything. So we highly encourage you, if you have a testimony, to send a text message to myself or Pastor Latanya or talk to Reverend about your testimony. We want to compile something, put it together in a video format, and share it. Amen. Because it says in Revelations that we overcome the enemy by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of our testimony. So we highly encourage you, if you have a testimony that's of something that God has done for you, let us know and we will coordinate with you on how to get that together. Amen. Amen. Our God is an awesome God. If you're a first-time visitor, we welcome you to Life Place International Ministries. We are a family church, a church of love, and our pastor loves people. She loves connecting with individuals. So if it's your first time, you can go ahead and give us a call at 301-404-6794. or at 301-723-1801. And then you can also visit our church website and then connect with us there. We would love, again, to connect with you, to pray with you, and to have you to be a part of our family. Amen. Amen. Our God is an awesome God. At this time, we will go ahead and we will take offering. You can definitely go ahead and make a donation through our online platforms. Givelify is there, or you can give us a call as well to go ahead and help you to process any payments that you have. Amen. Amen. Our God is a faithful God. We're going to close out.